Lobster, you got it back yet? Lobster's a 10 out, don't grab it. This video is brought to you by T-Blocks. Enjoy the content now, but stay for the shilling later.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to Lobster Magnet Friends. I'm here with my buddy Goro.
Hey, what's up?
Goro, very, very nice. Plus, ultra'd himself out and was completely wrecked last week, which is why we didn't have Dr. Stone last week. But now we have it this week, which thankfully Boichi... Well, I feel like Boichi's a machine. I feel like he could just keep on drawing forever. But I feel like the iShield 21 guy was like, sort of like, uh-oh, I gotta go do some research, which is why we got the chapter break this week.
Yeah, probably. That makes a lot of sense, but there's something strange about this chapter. Like, for a few panels, that was a little bit out of character of Boichi.
Well, what? Was it the big, thing where they reveal the diva and she, like, looks, like, kind of derpy, but then she, like, goes to typical, like, Boichi seductive woman?
No, okay.
There was a point where I was, like, looking at them and I was like, are these, like, two completely different characters?
Who? The diva?
Yeah. Remember the diva? She's like, it's like the first page she appears on, and then she's kind of like got this like sort of like chibi body, and she's like doing all these things like, I'm the big diva, blah 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 blah. I'm so important. I'm gonna be a bitch. Then they like show like this full body shot of her, and she's just like, oh, I'm so sultry and gorgeous and sexy, and look at those big boobs popping out of my spacesuit.
That is typical Boichi, though. that's typical Boichi, but I mean, this is besides the point of like all the sexy panels, which I can appreciate.
Well, these were much more tasteful than the one that I was complaining about with Riri sucking down the science medicine.
Yeah. These panels were a good amount of sexy or whatever. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah, I didn't have any like issue with them. I just thought it was funny that like the art style was like so drastic at one point that I was like, are these two different characters?
Oh no. No, there's no way those two different characters. He just like introduced her as chibi at first and then like as sexy later.
Nah.
But that wasn't the point I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up on page 3. They have like an introduction to like these new space characters, and it feels kind of a little bit uncharacteristic of how Boichi plays with the dialogue and the characters that he's drawing. So like when Senku's dad first sees like the 3 other space crew members, there's a guy who's like, oh ho, welcome to the International Space Station. But his expression doesn't like, the way he's drawn, it doesn't indicate that he's like saying that in a loud, boisterous voice, because in the following little word bubble, that man's wife is like, sorry, my hubby is bark and no bite. He's got a lot of bark at that. I think Boichi could have drawn that a little bit more like dramatically. Like, I understand, like, you gotta like draw them like sort of, you get the sense of like the situation that they're inside the space station and all, but I think there's a missed opportunity there to really show like show off the characters as well.
I don't know. I can't look at the pages right now because I'm like hosting this thing and it'll ruin the video stream. So I'd have to look at it. But I don't know. I'd have to look at it because I mean the space station characters aren't super distinct, but I don't think they need to be. But
why don't you can look it up on your phone? Right?
Ugh, fine. Okay, so you keep talking so we can keep people entertained as I'm like doing phone shit.
Okay. So
So you thought that the artwork was like could have like made the character feel a little bit more interesting in the introduction of the space people. Because what I think is interesting about the space people is that like if you look at them, you can sort of like see like their different design aesthetics represented genetically as the composition of the village.
I was also looking for that too. Like there's
like there's this one little girl in the space station who looks like kind of similar to like the ruby, sapphire, you know, the crystal gems of Dr. Stone.
Yeah, I that was my thought too when I first saw her. I'm like I was like piecing together in my head like who is gonna like reproduce with who and how are they gonna how do their genetics like transfer over to the next generation? Like
so wait, all right, I got Dr. Stone queued up. Which page is it? The one you're talking about?
Number 3.
I'm looking at it. So what's so bad? It's like the space station and they're like floating around.
They're floating around, but check out the dialogue, you know, while they're talking. I mean,
to the International Space Station. Sorry, my hubby is all bark and no bite. He's got a loud bark at well, I guess, yeah, he does kind of like this sullen face and, you know,
yeah.
Whatchamacallit. But
it's like,
I don't know, these are civilized people. They're not like Stone Age extreme people. They're scientists.
I mean, yeah, but like, even so, like, you wouldn't play. I don't think you would play up that like dialogue so much if you weren't gonna introduce like some kind of like exaggerated character trait of some kind, like visually.
I don't know. I think it's like it perfectly fits the scene of like the space station. Like the space station is like the grandeur that like you didn't really need like a thing, especially in the next page when you've got like Lillian James's like look and she's like, oh, I'm sexy beauty, and she's, you know, this is passageway, and she's got her hair flowing out, and she looks like this little chibi girl.
Okay, that is more Boichi. I'm very okay with how Boichi did that, but like, okay, I think this is just like, it's just a weird like introductory panel for me. Like, I almost feel like they should have just scrapped this whole dialogue and been like, welcome to the International Space Station.
Yeah, I can give you that. But then again, well, keep in mind, who knows? Maybe that's the translation choice because, you know, there's a lot of done between whoever the hell, you know, scanlated this and, you know, so unless we have the direct Japanese, you know, for all we know, that was just their interpretation of it. And maybe it was something calmer or whatnot.
I mean,
I don't know. It feels like the most minor thing to get hold up on this guy who's like kind of like these are.
It doesn't feel like the dialogue and like the visual images translate as well as like what Boichi did before. That's what I'm saying. It's like I was wondering, like, is there like some kind of, you know, translation barrier that that is now only like coming into effect, or is it just because like it's so difficult to draw like this like space station scenery, like he wants to fit everything, like
the space station does look nice, and I do love that one panel where you just see like the stone explosion erupting across Earth. I thought that was really cool.
All right, yeah, and that was also pretty cool too. But there's another panel too that is kind of feels a little bit weird to me.
Which one? Since I got this all queued up on my phone.
Page 9.
Okay.
Senku's dad is like he's like eating the miso soup, and you see his reaction face like, ha ha ha, I can't, that's just too much. Like, I think that expression that he has, it could have been played up a little bit better to make it like Boichi. He does a really great job like interacting with the dialogue.
Yeah,
like,
and coming up with like these exaggerated facial things. Well, you could say that, like, you know, in the Dr. Stone world of the future, it's this sort of like primitive stone fantasy reality because it's got the stone world, it's got this primitive culture, and that, you know, he over exaggerates it to fit in that fantasy reality. Well, now we're in, you know, ostentatiously our world, so that's why it's a little bit more reserved.
No, it's always consistent, even with like Even like the
flashbacks. Has like a little
flashbacks.
expression. It's not like the funniest one that Boichi's done, but it's just, this miso soup is so good. I'm a dumb guy on a space station. Everything's so amazing. Space food.
But it looks more like he's like spitting it out, like almost in disgust. Like,
well, to me, it just looks like he's like eating it so quickly, and he's just like, you know, I don't know. It seems like the minorest detail.
It doesn't feel like it expresses like, you know, his utter like childish joy and amusement of like eating miso soup like this.
He looks happy. I don't know. Like to me, like I you know, a do or die moment is not him eating miso soup. You know, that's not going to define the series for me.
It's just these two panels. Like I feel like he didn't nail like the expressiveness at all. Like of the characters, you know, connecting with the dialogue and stuff. Like I don't know. It's like he drew the panels, but he's drawing them beautifully, but there's like a disconnect between like the dialogue, I think, and the art in those two particular panels, I feel.
I don't know. I could see that, but to me, it's like so minor that like it doesn't really like bug me to the same degree it bugs you. Like to me, like I was more interested in like, ooh, how many females and how many males are there? And at first I thought it was like a 4-to-2 ratio, but then I looked at the front and it was like, oh no, the little short-haired girl is also a girl, so that means there's 3, so 3-to-3. And then in my head I was thinking like, all right, so if that one goes with that one, and that one they make sure not to inbreed, because like the big mystery here is like, one, how do they get back to Earth?
And what is the family tree?
Yeah, what is the family tree? Well, the bigger question is like, you know, they realize that the world is stone, and then, you know, Senku's dad is like, we're gonna save all 7 billion of them. So obviously they don't do that. They don't figure out how to unpetrify people. They also don't maintain their technological heritage over the course of like, you know, several generations, and they, you know, breed enough to like have this like 40-person village.
And it could just be that their space station like was wrecked when they landed back on Earth.
Well, so. I think that like they'll probably take like an escape pod or something to get back down to Earth. But you know, that's the big question though, is like, why is the technical heritage? These are scientist astronaut people. They should have been able to like, you know, why is Senku able to like, you know, build a chemistry lab, electrical power generator, but these two scientist people are too dumb to figure that out?
I mean, Senku is a genius. Like he's basically started from scratch to make the power generator.
Yeah, but these are freaking astronauts. They're NASA level scientists who assumingly all have degrees from the best universities in the world. They should be able to like do basic science crap.
Yeah, but like, how well are they going to teach that to their, you know, children and grandchildren, and you know, so on and so forth?
They could go to the library, get books, you know, printing press. Like I feel like there should, but obviously that's probably going to be part of the story. Something's going to happen where, you know, they're not going to be able to achieve what they want, and then, you know, the father's going to die out from a tragic disease or old age or whatever, and he's like, Senku, I couldn't figure out a way to protect you, but I entrust my legacy in these stories, because I think someday you will wake up and you can keep this thing going on. And then Riri is going to give him like this message that's like lent from his father. And then there'll be this big emotional moment where like the past touches the future, and Boichi will draw this like incredible like thing of like a baton being passed metaphorically from the father to the son across spanning eons. And, you know, assumingly, you know, the art in the story hits its notes, it'll be like, oh, epic moment.
And that'll be really exciting, for sure. And those panels though, they just bug me, because like I'm wondering like if we get those kinds of panels like in the future, like could that ruin a moment like that you just described?
I don't know. I don't think Boichi's like messed up in any of like the big emotional moments. Like one of my favorite panels is like, you know, is like when Senku discovers light, and that's when I gave the chapter a 10 out of 10. I thought that was like such a huge emotionally moment, and he like drew the hell out of it to the point where like, you know, the light that shined across this barren jungle world, and it felt like this incredibly huge moment.
Speaking of jungle world, I hear a screeching in the background of like some kind of jungle animal.
Yeah, good old jungle animal. Oh yeah. So speaking of Dr. Stone technology, Greg or Goro, you should check this out. I got this online. It's a harness for Captain Crunch, so I can take him outside. Yes,
wow.
Using the incredible power of Amazon, I constructed this harness and the power of science to bring my bird out for walks.
I think he's gonna hate that.
He does, but like once I got him out, he got a little bit better. This is really dumb.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, completely unrelated. This is my bird going on a walk.
Wow, you actually went on a walk. Nice.
Yeah. Look at this one.
I bet he's happy to be outside.
He likes it. He hates the harness, but he likes going outside. And then here's my favorite image. He's at a jungle gym.
Nice.
It's funny though. I just recently watched this like Netflix Godzilla CGI movie, which was kind of mediocre, but it also kind of reminded me of Dr. Stone, where like basically these people are like afraid of Godzilla, so they run away from Earth and they run away into a spaceship, but then like they use incredible warp drives to like try and travel and find a new planet. They don't find a new planet, so then they decide to return to Earth because they're running low on resources. So they arrive with their like futuristic technology, but 2,000 years because of time dilation has passed. So like the Earth is now devolved to this point where it's like this primitive landscape ruled by kaiju monsters. And you know,
which Godzilla was this?
It just came out on Netflix. It's called Godzilla: Planet of the Monsters.
It's like a CGI.
Yeah,
bad CGI.
It's not the best CGI. It definitely looks like a CGI anime movie.
A CGI anime movie.
Yeah, Netflix has been doing a whole bunch of them. They have this studio they really like that keeps on churning out CGI anime, and I think it's the same studio that did Aijin. What was that other one? The Blam movie, The Knights of Sidonia, and all the character models kind of look the same. And you know, it does feel like you're kind of like watching the cutscene to a PS2 game. But I don't know. I just brought it up because it reminded me of Dr. Stone.
Speaking of Netflix movies or Netflix anime, I still think we should watch Devil May Cry Baby.
Well, I changed the Netflix password, so because you don't want to get it from your siblings, maybe we can do that.
Okay.
Which I still don't understand. You have two siblings who could give you Netflix passwords that are your own blood. Why the hell do you have to, you know, your old-time friend use his Netflix
I don't have
password?
two siblings that have Netflix passwords.
I bet you they both do.
My older brother probably doesn't have a Netflix account.
You don't think so?
No.
But your younger one probably does.
Yeah, he does. He does.
So why don't you want to ask him? Tell me, why is it so like why do you feel like less, pressure asking me than your own goddamn sibling?
Because it's in my saved password. It's on my computer. It was in my saved preferences. Like, I don't want to rewrite my whole saved preferences thing on Google. Your account is already in my saved.
That's the key. All right, so back to Dr. Stone. We went on a big sidetrack with primitive parrot things and Godzilla and Netflix. What did you think of this chapter, though? Let's get to a rating.
Those panels really bothered me.
You're ridiculous.
I'm thinking I got to give it a lower score because of that, because there was just like something that really was off-putting about, the dialogue not connecting with the visual image was.
I'll give it a 7.5 because like I did enjoy this chapter. It did feel like we spent a lot of time on like just dumb bullshit, like oh my god, space miso is so great. Oh, this space ramen is so cool. That just didn't really seem to like move things along. But I did like the bigger moments of like the stone thing hitting the world. Them like looking on the stadium and coming to the realization that they were the only ones left, as well as Seku's dad being like, we're gonna save them all 7 billion of them, which is the exact kind of like gutsy shonen proclamation that I love.
And it did end in a much better way than how it began, I think. So with that in mind, I'll give this chapter a 6.5.
I think you're still a little too cruel, but
I mean, there wasn't too much going on with this chapter. I mean, there's like some fun little.
But
space
we got
stuff.
to
Like,
see
really
the genetics of Kohaku and Riri and this Lillian James, who was obviously
a descendant of Kohaku.
So I guess we're gonna probably learn that
ancestor.
Kohaku and Riri are like Seku's like great grandchildren.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Sorry for the ship train. Looks like Senku isn't getting either of them. Uh-oh.
People still ship like ancestral things like that. Like, they don't care. I mean, they'll ship almost anything.
Well, Seku's like a completely asexual character, so, I don't think he's any interest whatsoever, but, I don't know. I don't know if Dr. Stone's, like, community is, like, big enough to, if you Dr. Stoners out there, are like into like shipping. Ooh, I think, God, what's his name? The little skeevy kid. Ginru and Kinru. Kinru, I think this little skeevy one. Like, I don't think it's like. I think Kinru's gonna wind up with Amethyst, Ruby, and Pearl.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When you say Amethyst, Ruby, and Pearl, I think of like Steven Universe. Aren't those character names for Steven Universe?
Yes, they are. They're the crystal gems of Dr. Stone World, and who knows, maybe iShield 21 guys out there like watching Cartoon Network and watching the Japanese dub of Steven Universe.
Wouldn't surprise me. Also, the way this guy Boichi drew the space stations. Fantastic illustrations. I mean, but I have to judge it by like as a sequential comic and not like just the illustrations. The illustrations are always fantastic from Boichi. I'm just like that disconnect between the dialogue and the illustrations is what really is really off-putting for me, because like I get a little bit. It didn't feel right.
Yeah, I guess I could sort of see that. So, all right, so 7.5 for me, 6.5 for you for your stupid little nitpicks. You gotta remember, there was a point where you were giving 6s to Black Clover. You saying Dr. Stone's on par with Black Clover?
No, of course not. But I'm a little bit nervous. This is like, it's always in relation to what I've seen from
Boichi before.
Yeah, it's in relation to like, this manga. Like, I'm rating it as compared to what I've seen from
what
this.
What have you
manga.
seen before? Well, yeah. I mean, I'll give you, this chapter didn't reach the heights we've previously seen, but, we're in backstory time, and, this backstory is obviously much better than, like, Seku's backstory, redundant, time-wasting backstory we got back in chapter 12. Remember that?
Okay, yeah. That backstory time was like, oh, man, that was like fives or fours territory, right?
That was terrible. It was like shit we already knew, things that weren't going to tell us anything interesting.
And like we kind of knew in the back of our minds that Seku was going to live anyway.
Yeah.
It was so pointless.
it was a complete waste of time. But the series recovered from that. So we'll see if like the iShield 21 guys research is put. It's interesting because like series like this usually don't go on break, but I feel like I don't know. I've read somewhere like someone was talking about like it feels like the big two right now are like My Hero Academia and One Piece, and then Dr. Stone and Promised Neverland are fighting for third place.
That seems pretty accurate.
While
I mean,
other
like,
series are like Shogeki no Soma are kind of like middle of the road, and they're not doing bad, but like there are things that are holding them back from like taking over that like shonen throne.
I mean, Dr. Stone has like stolen rank 1 for like a week or two from One Piece.
If you go at it, it's definitely been like towards the top there a few times. So the question is like which one? Well, probably Promised Neverland has a better chance of getting an anime. Oh, and I'll show you this after we're done.
I think Dr. Stone has a better chance now. It has like way more. I think it has way more like usable content for like great animation than Promised Neverland.
Remember, Promised Neverland
one
is
arc.
Like,
I think
no, Promised Neverland has like 70+ chapters, and those monster things you could make cool, even if they're not like the most engaging content. You could use it. It's not terrible. It's not bad content.
I guess if you animate
it has more chapters. Anything that has more chapters, like recently there's this anime or manga that's been going on. It's kind of like an ecchi sort of harem thing called Yuna's Sexy Hot Spring or Yuna's Haunted Hot Spring.
Okay.
Well, basically, it's like this guy, and he goes, and there's a ghost girl, and she's sexy, and hilarious shenanigans happen. It's like another one of the sort of like middle of the road series that's like gone to 90 chapters. And so, all right, the point I'm making is that it has 90 chapters, and it's getting an anime this summer. So I feel like if you're doing well and you get to like the 80 to 90 chapter range, that's when you can that's usually when you get picked up.
Okay. So we just have to wait 50 more weeks, and then Dr. Stone is going to be an anime?
Possibly, yeah. I think it's definitely coming. It's just a matter of when.
Okay.
They just recently announced a My Hero Academia movie, although that's probably going to suck.
Man.
Well, most shonen movies suck.
It's like it shows off like, oh, yes, this series is doing great. But like the actual product is like,
yeah, oh yeah, I can I already see it in my head. I'm blah blah blah, the evil blah 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 villain with the blah 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 quirk. I'm Deku. I won't let you blah 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 villain. I'm gonna use this version of One for All for this one-time combination attack. And every character is going to be in the movie that people like, and they're going to do their signature thing, and it'll be cute, and it'll have slightly higher animation as we use the power of blah, blah, blah. No, I'm blah, blah, blah.
I'm Fire Ice Guy. I think we shouldn't fight him, Deku. He's too strong. We got to think practically. I'm Sasuke, basically.
I'm Kacha and Bakugo. I think we should explode him because I'm the king of explosion murdery guy. Bam, 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 bam. I'm Frog Girl. I'm just going to say Gyero a bunch of times, and then there'll be a scene where they show me flipping around, and then there's my butt.
And I'm Gravity Girl. We're gonna do useful stuff. So it'll
basically be like a 90-minute version of that stupid episode with the filler with the Frog Girl's internship.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the sign that when you're a big three, though, when you get into the cycle, when they just keep on like churning out like movies, like every year.
Yeah, for some reason, One Piece movies haven't really bothered me to that extent.
Well, you haven't seen that many of them, though. You've only seen the ones that are worth watching. You haven't seen like the 1 through 8 other ones that came before it.
Yeah, but like I guess what really has
I assume
like
they're probably not.
Naruto.
I think that like the One Piece universe is like inherently more goofy and playful, so I feel like One Piece fillers are probably the most tolerable out of all shonen anime fillers.
Yeah. It's true.
Just because the characters are so goofy, like, they're not great, but I find them a little less offensive than like the
like Naruto movies.
Yeah, than the Naruto movies or the other filler characters. Just because
I'm sure there was like a Bleach movie that we watched.
Oh yeah, there's a shit ton of Bleach movies.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever saw any of them.
I think we saw one.
Did we see one?
I remember there's like one where Kenpachi was like running all over the place. He was lost and something.
You sure that wasn't the series?
It was like an OVA of some kind.
Well, the point is like, it does show that like you're in big boy land when you get movies made out of you every year, even if those movies kind of usually always suck. Although I would love to see like someone like do an analytical and try and like find positive points about them. All right. Anyway, we've spent a lot of time on this Dr. Stone digression. This is probably just like all the pent up, ness for not having doing this for a week, and we're just letting it all flow for you in our Dr. Stone glory.
Yeah, exactly. Got to catch up on the anime.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, we got so many little horror short stories. I can't wait. All right. So thank you for hanging out with us. Remember, lobster's antennas, but don't you grab it.
Do you like clothes but hate shopping? Then T-Blocks is the subscription service for you. But I know what you're thinking. But Lobster, how is that any different than Loot Crate or the other subscription services? Well, T-Blocks sends you t-shirts, which is clothing, which is actually useful, unlike the useless swag junk that Loot Crate keeps peddling on gullible schmucks. And this isn't just knockoff brand crap. T-Blocks hooks you up with licensed shirts for all the stuff you love, because you need clothes. How else are you going to keep your puny human man flesh protected from the elements? T-shirts are useful for any occasion. Wear them, give them to friends, give them to enemies, knit them together, make a quilt. T-shirts are life. And you know the best part? It'll only cost you $6.99. That's right, you can get 12 shirts sent to you for once a month for only $6.99. And you know what? If ultra cheap licensed goods are too basic for you, then there's also the Community T-Block set, which features original designs from the best up-and-coming artists, so you can keep that hipster street cred. But I'm here to save you even more money! Use the code LOBSTERTBX at checkout, and you'll save 10% on any order. Be a t-shirt wearing god amongst mortals. Use the power of the most expensive seafood to get you the cheapest t-shirts now! Lobster's made of